Hello there, Trust.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, I'm okay.
Great. I'm just seeing where I am here.
Okay, let me.
I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, I'm okay.
Great, that's great. I'm just seeing where I am here.
Okay, let me.
Very well, thank you. Okay, we're actually live. And I'm going to be recording here as well. So can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes.
You are very welcome. So we're just going to start straight away. We're not going to wait for people. You're very welcome. Our second speaker, Belinda Dongo, actually has some issues with her power this morning, the power supply. She is based in the DRC, and she sent me a message not too long ago that the power supply has an issue where she is. So regrettably, she will not be able to join us this afternoon, but that is okay because hopefully we'll have her another time. But we are glad to see you, Trust. I'd like to, if possible, have you on camera. Because
okay.
Yes, please. So it's great to see you. Thanks very much for joining me this afternoon, and of course, joining any one of us that will join us later on. But I wanted this to really be a conversation between you and I, because it's going to be, it'll be live streamed anyway. So people have an opportunity to listen back, and I'm just going to record this actually. So we'll also have a record of it. So you're very welcome, Trust Tinyama. They're in South Africa, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, as you know, this is Hergenuity Africa monthly event, and I wanted to just take a little bit of time to introduce Hergenuity Africa. I know sometimes in our African countries, the network would be a bit of a bother. So I know maybe sometimes you have to put your camera off and sometimes have it on, but we'll kind of make do with what we have at the moment. So it's okay. That's the situation we find ourselves in our African countries. So of course, this is Hergenuity Africa Coffee and Connect, and it is great to be here. What do we do? What is Hergenuity Africa, or who are we? So we are an organization that promotes and supports entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial thinking, and business leadership among people of African descent, particularly among females, because that is where we have the higher rate of social economic deprivation or exclusion. So we like to position ourselves as an organization that promotes and encourages entrepreneurship, as I said, but we also actively see ourselves promoting social economic development of females of African descent, not just in Africa, but also in the diaspora. So we would like to see more people of African descent become entrepreneurs, either as a side hustle or as their main business, because even research has identified the fact that entrepreneurship is key to the growth and development of economies all over the world. And you see that in Western world, there's a lot of investments in entrepreneurs and a lot of investment in entrepreneurship. And so we want to encourage, support, promote entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs, helping them to get access to the kind of training that they need, but also giving them a kind of leg up in terms of grant writing, applications for funding, but also help pointing them in the direction where the funding is and giving them those kind of support that allows them to grow their businesses quickly, such as human resource support, administration, name it, whatever our entrepreneurs need. We have a network of people within the organization that are either volunteers or are entrepreneurs themselves, and they are there for us to support one another to grow our businesses. So it is great to see you today. I am excited about the conversation we are going to have, and I really hope that those that are watching us and those that will watch us afterwards will get really some good things from us today, so that it will be, something worthwhile for them, and that they can also find a way of scaling their businesses as we also are trying to do. So a little bit about you, Trust. So you are a Zimbabwean-born South African entrepreneur. You're the founder of TACHM Environmental Consultants, which is a company that deals with environmental impact assessments in the wake to advance sustainable development. You're also a researcher and an author, and one of your research won you a chance to represent your university, which is the University of South Africa in Switzerland. You hold a degree in environmental management, and you're pursuing your postgraduate qualification in environmental management. Wow, I'd love to hear more about that. And I suppose this is the good time to talk a lot about it, because sustainability, sustainable development and all that is one of the key things that the world is talking about. So you are right, well positioned in a space that is fast growing. So we would love to hear from you to see how other people can also gain, I suppose, more knowledge about how to get into that space. So you're welcome, Trust. Thanks very much for joining. I'm going to just stop sharing this slide so that, bear with me a moment, let's stop share. I'm using multiple, two devices. So there you go. Yeah. Yes, so it is great to see you, Trust. So welcome to HGA Coffee and Connect. And as I said, the conversation, I wanted this to be a conversation between you and I, so that I can get a chance to ask you a lot more questions. And hopefully you'll be able to shed a lot of light in how business is in South Africa, and how people in South Africa that are intending to step into the entrepreneurial space or are intending to grow the businesses, how they can learn from you. So tell me, how did you even think to get into this area of business?
Thank you once again for having me. So let me say I'm more of a person who likes to have control, if I can put it like that. Okay. So I never imagined myself being the kind of person who works with a specific timeline, like you're expected to be at a specific workplace between, let's say, 7 to 5, or depending with the nature of the work. So I prefer to be responsible with my own schedule, my own timeline. So I asked myself, how am I going to incorporate what I like, and also to be a person who is, especially for you, if you are a man, like technically speaking, in an African context, one of the duties you have to do is you have to be responsible, the provider. So I now had to infuse with what I like passionately, which is the environmental stuff. So to take it back, my love for environment, it came, I think, in 2014. That's when issues of climate change were now significant, being spoken more about it. So I used to consider myself as a person who is in the league of fraternity. But my interest also was always vested in the environmental part of it. So I always joke with my friends back in high school to say, if I become a lawyer, I will be dealing with waste management issues. Companies are polluting a lot, and they are not represented more. So I would like to be that kind of a person.
Wow.
Then I started doing research more about issues, which programs are available that can do that. Then environmental management, it came into the vicinity. So I then started paying more like more attention in terms of what is it about, what are the opportunities that are there. So when I was looking for opportunities, I was looking for something also which allows me to grow, and something which was marketable as well. So I started now checking and consulting with friends and relatives who also had more information. Like, for instance, my brother would go, you usually ask me, what is it that you want to do and why do you want to do it? So when I finished my matric, he asked me, which qualification do you want to do? Bring me 3 things that you like to go and study. So when I brought to him, he then came and said, no, this is a good opportunity and it is still growing. And also few people yet understand what is it about. Yeah. So I was now looking at a qualification and also something that I can grow, which can make me also employable everywhere that I go. So I was asking to say, okay, let's say, for example, I go back to Zim, will I still be needed in the market? I realized, okay, even in Zim, it's something that is not yet there. Universities are also introducing curriculum related to climate change, environmental studies. On the journalist part of it, they're also starting to do environmental journalism. Yes. So it gave me that push now to say, okay, so when I look in the first world countries as well, it's one skill that is not yet there. So I asked myself, this is the skill that I have to now nurture myself and grow into it. So I started my undergraduate degree with University of South Africa, so studying environmental management. So in my first year, I was exposed to the issue of research. So that is the research component of it, which I then also grew up part on it. And the exposure, the fun fact is, when I selected module, I mistakenly selected, I think it was a 3rd-year module, but that 3rd-year module had no prerequisite. So the system allowed me to register it. So when I now checked, the first thing I am realizing, I am being asked about methodology. I'm asking myself, what is it that I'm being asked for? Yeah. So doing that, I then started paying more attention because I was also afraid of failing the module as well. So I started paying more attention to it and starting also to analyze and understanding the deeper concepts that were there. So coming now to your original question, what made me to become where I am now? I then incorporated all these things, what I like, my passion, and made it a career out of it. Then I decided also to say, I would like to be a young person who can be in charge of his life. But for me to be in charge of his life, I have to be in control of my life. So how do I become in control of my life? I must create work for myself and those around me. So when I create those 2 variables, it means I can control whom I work with, when we should work, and we schedule now time to incorporate my personal space that I like to do. Hence, Tashim Environmental Consultants was started in 2019. So yeah, that's a little bit of a summary where I am currently.
Well done. That's fantastic. Lovely story. I love it. For businesses like you, like your business that are venturing in areas that are untapped or largely untapped, how easy or challenging was it for you to tell people about the services you offer, because it's an area they're not familiar with? How did you sell the service to them? How are you selling yourself?
It's it's still complicated. I can still tell you now. It's still complicated because remember when organizations by nature which deals with issues with the environment, I can start with, let's say, for example, Greenpeace as one of the prominent companies which deals with issues against issues. So it's something that organizations they did not accept it at that particular moment because it is seen as an agent that is against progression. So myself now, when we would speak and talk about the importance of us as environmentalists and the also importance of entrepreneurs, for example, people who are starting companies, industries, also in the growth of the economy, and the issues now that we bring in terms of a standstill, in terms of some of the project might not go because of environmental part of it. So I have always seen myself as a liberal now, which with I think the sustainability come of it now to say projects must go on, but they are supposed to be sustainable. So I wanted now to say I am creating an innovative part of it in terms of the sustainability way of it, to say, if you want to build a school, for example, I should not be an environmentalist and say, don't build a school. That's the enmity part of it. But I should propose solutions as to how you should build your school in a sustainable way, where you will also achieve what you are seeking to do, and also without damaging the environment at all. So where the two can live together and they can sing. So selling such now is a difficult part of it, but the good part of it is the government have policies and instruments that they have put in place, which compels organizations, companies also to obey certain rules that are gazetted. So for instance, let's say for argument's sake, you want to start a mine. So for you to start a mine, there are certain things that need to be done. That's where I come in as an environmental assessment practitioner. I am responsible for the application of that mining license. But being the person responsible, I now be the one who creates the environmental plan for you, how the dangers. That's when we do now the all assessment, the biodiversity assessments, the heritage impact assessments, and what is the nature of the impact that is going to be there. If is there closure afterwards? If it is there, what is going to be done afterwards? When, let's say, the mining is going to be closed maybe after 50 years, for instance, what is it that is going to be done after the closure of that mine? Well, what is the impact of the people who are relying on that mining, for instance? So those are part of it. Now we have now to come with after programs that are going to sustain and continue. If people were employed, so it means there should be something that maintains and keeping the surrounding people going to be employed. That is where the sustainability part of it, where I come in also in terms of advising and doing all those kind of things. But going into the market, it's difficult, especially, let me just say it, being a Black person is very difficult because each and every time we have to prove ourselves that we do have the knowledge and content. But because it's a market that is currently white dominated, especially in the South African context, good companies that are doing environment, majority of them, they are being headed or white owned.
Right,
so it's a space also, as Black people, we are also going or coming into with a high number. But the good part of it is the organization or the body that regulates us. It's free and fair, if I can put it like that, because natures of skin does not work there. What matters is your ability to understand what is it that they do, the portfolios. When you register, they ask you equally so. So selling it is the difficult part of it. But when you are determined, those are the things that you need to understand, that they are there in the market, they exist. But when you know your dream and what you seek to achieve, so in my case, those are my motivations, day in, day out, looking new challenges, how best can I improve from what I have, and who can I work with, who I can partner with. So yeah, that's part of it. So I can't say currently I have reached where I am. I haven't. I think I haven't even touched 30% of what I want to be and where I want to see the company growing. But what I can tell you is I'm in a right direction in terms of where I was 2 years and now, because when I pitch, companies are listening, prospecting clients are listening, and partners are coming in also. So it gives me also that freedom to understand that where I am going is it is a good direction. And when I also check what other successful entrepreneurs they have done, when I see how many times they have failed and what motivated them to
Keep going.
change, to continue, so it also keeps on and motivates me as well.
Fantastic. Oh wow. I'm just inspired and motivated as I'm listening to you. Fantastic. And have you been able to get other people, like get employees on board? Is there, because I know that it's an area that is just developing, are there opportunities to get other people of African descent into your company? Maybe not as full-time, full-time employees, because your business may be still too small to take on another person, but also for or maybe for internship or work experience. Have you been able to get other people, getting them even interested in this field? Since you said it's mainly white dominated, so it's an opportunity for other men. South Africa is big enough to have other people like you to become consultants like you. Have you looked into that?
Yes. As we speak, what I did is when I structured the company model with important variables. Like I knew that I'm not going to do all the things that are needed in the organization. So some of the skills I am outsourcing in terms, like when I have projects, I collaborate with those that have went to school together. And because, when we were still at school, we used to talk, guys, what is it that you want to do? Where do you want to work? So I always say to my guys, I would like to work, for example, for Excom, but I don't want to work for Excom as their employee. I want to work for Excom as a consultant, where they bring me to solve issues and problems for them. So we would laugh about it, say, oh, that's what you want to do. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But for me to go there, it means I must sell myself more and work. So we talk a lot. So as we speak, yes, I'm in contact with various specialists, like your biodiversity specialist, your heritage specialist. And sometimes when I get a project, not as I would love to have, but we do have, I incorporate them, because like you said, I'm not yet in a position to take people full time. But what I do is I incorporate them and inform them, guys. Sometimes when the danger now is when you are an upcoming company, you can't do quotations the same way as existing companies which have built bigger brands like myself. So it means as a way for me to attract also clients, I have to also, my fees should not be as those who are there. As much as I'm doing good quality work compared to the existing companies.
Yeah.
But for me to also showcase my work, I have to compromise. What is it that I'm compromising? Is the monetary part of it. So we would talk and say, what I'm doing now is I'm building my reputation. Mm-hmm. And so if you are, let's say, for you to do an assessment, maybe I want you to do hydrology assessment where a person wants to do a filling station. So we need to study the hydrology part of it, the soil type of it. So me as an environmentalist, I can't do that. I will need a specific person who is an hydrologist to come and do that for me. So we would now agree and talk and say, currently it's not about money for me also, but this is what I have. So this is what we can do. But when we grow as a company, we grow together.
That's true.
So it has worked well for me, and I have managed also to look dedicated also people who are also interested in seeing the future of us growing together, rather than currently having a large sum amount of money and score. So we would also talk and say, if I want a large sum amount of money now, I can at least go and be an employee of another organization. But currently, as it is, it's building the organization, putting everything into context. So me doing that, it has created also opportunities for me to diversify with other colleagues that share vision in terms of the sustainability part of it. Because like you said, issues of environment, they are very broad, and majority of companies are well interested. Any company, it might be health industry, agricultural sector, mining sector, you understand, etc. So all these companies now, I have found myself being included in various stakeholders, and the colleagues that I meet, I say, no, I'm doing farming, but I think we can collaborate. How can we collaborate? I'm like, okay, no, it's fine. From the environmental part of it, we speak about issues related to climate change. Agriculture is part of the rainfall, all those kind of things. So because it's a wild diverse, I find myself venturing and being needed in all these pockets. And the more I do that, the more I'm also exposed to companies and organizations, and also colleagues who would also tell me about, I want to do this, I want to do that. Are you able? Do you want to do that? So that's where I am, and that's how I'm growing also in creating a whole wide of network as well.
Well done. Great stuff. Have you been able to bring on board any of the government agencies to recognize you, to work with you, to partner with you? Any of the South African government agencies, especially that are in this space?
Yeah, so what I have done at the moment is my local municipality, I had the opportunity to go to them and to show what is it that I want to do, how we can do that, and write a proposal. So, and I've had the opportunity also to link with the guys who are heading the environmental department of it. So in connection, also they have also assisted me in terms of aligning myself with the vision of the municipality, and also how best I can contribute. So that is something which is currently also in the pipeline, to say, like there's a proposal. One thing that I'm also in my postgraduate, which I'm dealing with, one of my focus area, the research is about renewable energy. So where I'm also looking into how the municipality, the roles played actually by the local municipality in encouraging citizens to utilize green energy fuels, like it can be wind or solar, for instance. And so that is something that I also believe from the research part of it, to also assist the municipalities in terms of implementation and taking note on how part in the improving of making sure that we would be not to abandon more of it, but going to green energy fuels, but using lesser fossil energy. So those are some of the things. And the municipalities have given me open arms in terms of listening ears to my proposals. So the only thing which is left for me also is to have a document, a detailed document with steps, which I believe that when I'm done compiling and when the research is done as well, it's something that is going to come into play. And in the agricultural sector of it, because I also check on part of it, like when we talk about environment, I check which things are causing pollution, what is it, and what is it I can do also as an environmental person to reduce those kind of problems. So it also allows me to play with my mind in terms of coming with innovative way of it. So the government part of it, I can now talk of the public institution, which is the university that I am enrolled with. It had created a platform also for myself to be innovative and to utilize the innovation hubs that we have to show ideas, and they assist with linking us with companies that can take us from an idea to the market part of it. If it's a prototype which is needed, the type of assistance that is available also. So those access, I couldn't have done it if I was not inclined, or if the environment was not put in a position to assist and allow myself to be exposed to such as well.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you. I'm just loving this conversation. It's very real. It's just and really empowering. And I know that as many people that are even thinking of starting their own business and thinking, can I do this? Would there be a market for me and all that? Just listening to you was inspiring and really empowering enough to get someone started. What has been your biggest challenge in business so far? Has it been money? Has it been resources in terms of maybe those infrastructure that you need, or those human capital that you need? What has been your greatest challenge in business?
The greatest one, I would think, is money. Yeah. In terms of women capital, I never struggled because I have surrounded myself. Yeah, I made sure that my linkage is, I do have the human capital. So when I was thinking of even starting the company, I knew that human capital is needed. So I always, when I have friends, when I'm making friends, I would also make sure that that friend is a human capital. It's not only just a friend, but
he's not only a social friend.
Yeah, it's not a social friend. So there's something that we can be friends, but we have something in common which both of us can benefit from one another. Yeah, so it has worked well for me. And when we talk, actually, it also even improved my friendship, because when you talk business, we talk business. And what is it that we bring different to all of us? For me, the biggest one is it's money and resources. Because remember, for one to be taken serious, especially if you are meeting a client, you need to be represented well enough. Yeah, let me give you a typical example. You call me, Trust, let's meet at 8, and I don't even have a car, for instance, to come there. Maybe I use a taxi. So the first thing that comes in your mind is, oh, maybe I am trying to be richer with you. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
So it's now comes to say.
So the perception of people. So that you find out that the people perceive you through those lenses. So they kind of, judge, as if I can, for want of a better word, and say, look, this person is not really that established if they're coming in a taxi, or they don't even have a car. And has that impacted a lot on, how do you know? Do you feel that kind of thing? Do you feel that kind of perception coming through in their body language, in how they react to you? How do you actually get that?
Well, the first question, the final question is, the difficult one is, if you're asked, well, are you driving or what? You see,
and then you say, well, not yet, not yet.
So yeah, it's a unique question that I have been asked a lot, until it started to ring in my mind to say, okay, so is it a red flag or it's a what? So I know most of the time, if it's unnecessary for me to meet with you face to face, we meet online like this.
Very good, very good. At least there'll be no question of do you have a car when you're meeting online?
Yeah, we meet online, and I thank God that COVID made it possible for us to be innovative and to utilize the online platforms more. And when we are meeting in person, it's now when it's technically necessary to meet, like when we have stakeholder engagements, when you are going for site visits. That's when we say, okay, we meet at 4 or we meet at 7 at the site. We no one cares now how did I arrive there.
Yeah.
What people
You've
care
made your
is me
mark.
doing the job.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So that's how I have taken it as an innovative way for me to be taken serious as well. But I'm one person who is never intimidated by what people think, because I always believe that if you give me the opportunity to speak, then you are sold. I will make sure that I utilize that space so much. You will even forget that I came with the text. I did not come driving based on what I would say.
Very good.
So
So that's one of the
that's
skills that an entrepreneur must cultivate. The
yes,
skill, the
yes,
presentation skill, that ability to sell themselves.
yeah. So I try by all means to make sure that and I don't see that as a limitation, but I always take it as an opportunity for me also to prove myself that whether I have it or not have it, it does not denigrate what I have, because I do believe that what matters is what are you able to do, because you might come with those resources. I might come with a very nice car and you'll be sold with the outside part of it. But if you give me the work, if I cannot deliver now, then it's a problem. So it's always nice. I might come with the text and then you ask me, what is it that you have done? I'll tell you, okay, I had a client which needed me to do this. We have managed to get an authorization for them. So now you can see now, okay, so this guy, maybe he might not be driving, or maybe he's reckless with the money that he's making, you understand? But at the end of the day, you will take me serious in terms of seeing me for who I am, as someone who can deliver the work that you want me to do for you.
Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
customer engagement. How best do you think that we can make profit, or we can better our businesses through customer engagement? How best can we engage our customers? Seeing that customers now, they're unlike before, and customers are not as loyal as before because there's such a competition in the market. So how do we keep our customers engaged? How do we grow our businesses through customer engagement?
Well, the most thing for one to keep customers is to be consistent. If you are not consistent, you are not going to keep your customers.
And not
And
consistency in what areas? In which particular areas are you talking about?
okay, let me speak now in the environmental space of it. So if you say, let's say, for example, our work is also timelined in terms of the process that is needed for evaluation by the Department of Environment. So there are rules and regulations that are needed. Like, for example, when you want to start a filling station, for example, we have a timeline for stakeholders to be notified, and there is a 30 days that are needed for waiting for people to bring in. Either they agree with what you want to do, they don't agree. So it's a timeline that is there for them. Then the government itself has also a 90-day period for them to evaluate the report that I do, which is the impact assessment. Now to see, it gives them also to check, did I follow protocols of everything that is supposed to do? Where the interested and affected parties notified on time? Was the customers part of it? In our area now, my customer is the client that is given me the job. So when I say consistent, if I say that I'm going to do the report within a month, I must do it within a month. I'm going to submit your report at the department in 2 months. I have to make sure that I do that. So that is how we keep our customers in check. Now, the second part is quality work. If I say I'm going to produce quality work, how do we measure quality work in our area now? It means the department, when they evaluate, issues of rejection should not be based on my ability not to do work. Rather, it should be maybe the area which they want to build, maybe protected species that can never be moved from that particular areas. So there should be reasonable and tangible reasons for the project not to go through, but not because I myself as the consultant did not do my work with due diligence. So with that, it means I will not be referred. So when you do your work, if I do my work now, it means that person is going to tell his friends, because I do believe that if you're a businessman, if you're a person, maybe someone who's in hotel industry, someone who is in farming, so they also have their own space that they meet and talk. So when they are talking and sharing, I want to do this project. So you will sell me on my behalf, me not being there. So you know what? Absolutely. I know this gentleman, he did work for me. He's good. You can do that. That is not as expensive as this one. He's loyal. He delivers, all those kind of things.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I love that. I suppose we can use those examples in any industry, because in terms of being able to have that consistency in your integrity is key, really, for anyone that is in business or thinking of going to business, that you do what you say and you say what you do, but also in terms of the consistency, as you said, in terms of quality, that is just so important. Because we know that a lot of people would say about Africans and African businesses, they would judge us by the standards of other people, what other people have done, and then you look at it and say they're all the same. But that's not necessarily true.
Yes.
So I suppose it's a call on businesses of Africans, wherever they may be, to be consistent in terms of their integrity, what they say they'll do, and also consistency in terms of the quality, but also consistency in terms of their engagement, their continued engagement with a certain type of client. And what I mean by that is that they must be able to choose the clients that shine their brand, I suppose, as opposed to clients that put down their brand. So it's being able to identify those people that, for example, in your own line now, that would have that kind of ethos towards sustainability, towards climate change, positive climate change policies and practices, rather than being identified with those who do not, all in the name of trying to, make money or have business. So I suppose in terms of not just quality and not just in what you say, but also in your values as an entrepreneur, our values must be consistent with where we want our businesses to go in the next 4, 5, 6 years, because that's what people are looking at. What kind of value is he selling? And of course, our personal values and our business values are always kind of judged together, if I can put it that way, especially if you're a one-man business like you are. Before people look at your business, they will first of all look at you, and look at what you say you are, if your values are in consonant with what your business is about. So imagine if your business is on sustainability and climate change and biodiversity, and the things that you are seen to be doing is not in conformity with what your business is about. Then people are going to say, oh, he's not a very consistent person in terms of his values, So
yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I also have a question in relation to, how you engage with other entrepreneurs. What kind of engagement do you have? Do you have a kind of network around you to support other entrepreneurs, and which you also enjoy, where other entrepreneurs support you? Do you have that kind of network, or that kind of I suppose that kind of social capital?
Yes, I have plenty in regards to that. Like my recent exposure, the trip that I had, I even extended that social capital for me. So like what I said earlier, I want to say, my field, it allows me to be with anyone everywhere. Because when you talk about environment, we are including both humans and animals and plants, everything
Yes.
that exists in the world. We are part and part of it. So it gives me that freedom to say, you know, I like to call myself, I have that master key which opens all the doors, all the
Yes.
industries I can
So you
go
have a
there.
wide network, any industry.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So a typical example is a colleague of mine that I met recently. He is doing a healthcare. He built actually a portable water healthcare which saves water. But how I came into, for me, I was interested with the material that they are using to build that portable, and how best I can be as environmentalist to do research on the material, the plastic, and how they can improve the company in terms of having good quality materials. So it allows me, when I meet a new person, to think also outside the box and to say, how do I come
How do
part and
I?
parcel? How do I become
Yes.
a business partner as well? So I always utilize those opportunities to say, we should be in a position where we help each other, both of us. You improve your company in terms of
Yes.
having better products that you are going to put on the market. But my work also, for me, it gives me an opportunity for me to showcase that I can do and how we can be business partners. So I have various entrepreneurs that are coming from different sectors like agriculture, they are there, healthcare, they are there, construction, they are there, mining, they are there. So each and every one of it, and one of the things that I like the most is we agree in terms of the role that we need to play also as young Black Africans as well. And what is it that we can do to be given the opportunity to do that? So one of it is we agree that our former entrepreneurs, some of them did not do justice for us. They were given opportunities, but the reputation, like what we were talking about, you talk about ethics and values, but when people check on you, it's totally different than what you are trying to sell. So it's difficult to be taken seriously. So one of the issues, like the key issues which we always advise each other, is to say, if a client pay, let's say I send a quotation of 50,000 rands, for example, I should not eat that money until I've delivered the work. Because the worst part of it is if you failed it to deliver the work and then the client says, you failed, give me that money, and you no longer have the money to pay back.
Yes. And
So
what you're saying is right, because sometimes we forget that what we do impacts on all the generations to come. And that is one of the things that people of African descent have to really think about, because we already, in being factual, we already have many factors that seem to be working against us. So that behoves us then to look at how we can create a positive legacy, I suppose, for people coming. And sometimes that will mean that we will not get the kind of money we want, or we not get the kind of, we will not utilize some opportunities, as in quotes, opportunities. But it means that we are not myopic. We are thinking ahead. We are thinking big. We have insight and we have foresight to know that whatever I do now is not just about me. It's about people coming after me and what the impact will be for them. And it's something that we really need to think about, because as you rightly said, a lot of people that have gone ahead of us, our predecessors, haven't done right by us. Well, not a lot, but some, because I don't have the figures, but some definitely. And some of us are suffering from it now. So it's something that we need to really, really think about, especially in a world where we want to bring positive change, transformation. That is so important. I hear you talk about partnerships and collaborations a lot. What has been, and I've heard people talk about the fact that they don't want to collaborate. I mean, I talk to people of African descent quite a lot, and one of the things they say, oh no, I don't want to collaborate. Whereas collaboration allows us to accelerate. You see, it can definitely lead to exponential growth, as opposed to, a growth in a small scale. But people don't want to do it because they probably have bad experiences, or they have heard about other people's experiences. What has been your greatest challenge in partnering with others or collaborating with others? And what has been your greatest motivation?
My greatest motivation comes from my African proverbs, where we say, one man cannot dig a hill alone. You need a lot of people to assist you to do that. So I have taken it into accord to say, if you want to grow, you need to be surrounded by people that think the same like you, that are motivated also like you. I think my greatest challenge is to look for people that truly want also to be at the same level with you and to grow with you. That is one of the greatest weakness, because I remember this idea, it once shared with this other colleague of mine. And then the colleague of mine went and started this odd thing, and then on to tell me that I've decided to move along, like what you are saying, that people want to go. But I always had that thing to say, if you really want to be a millionaire, because that's a dream that I want to be. I want to be one of those at a particular moment, if not a billionaire, if God allows me to go there. So I always check to say, those that have become such, what is it that they've done that is so unique and different? Only to find out that they had good working partners with them that assisted them to grow. So it kind of created a model for me to say, that's why I said to you, I have a human resource capital at my disposal, because when I meet a person for the first time, I'm interested to know, who are you, what do you do? And in asking those questions, I'm also asking myself, is there anything that I can benefit from this person? If there's none, we are not going to be friends. You see, because yeah, it's something that I think I inherited it from high school. I was so picky with friends. I wanted to play with people that were better than me, who were good in class. So if I knew that I'm not as good as I'm supposed to be in mathematics, I play with those that were better than me. When I need an answer, I'll ask, hey, how did you solve this one? You understand? So I just took it along with me in everything that I was doing. So it also shaped the people that I was keeping in close proximity with me, in terms of I needed to be motivated also. So even like we were jokingly to say, I don't have a car, but I can definitely just tell you that majority of my friends, 99 of them, they have cars. Why do I have such? Because I know when I have a problem, I will also, hey, my friend, I have a problem. Can you take me from point A to point B? I have a business meeting that I need to do. You understand. I know I can pour fuel, I can do that. So it also saves me time for me to walk or use the public transport, for instance, as a good example, if I can put it like that. So that was the only challenge that I had. But in that challenge, it allows me also to be patient enough not to just pick people for the sake of having a network, but for me to be patient enough also and wait for the right person whom I can also collaborate. So it gives me that linkage to say also, what I don't know, I have to know. I do research about it. And when the right person also comes, I'm not going to be as blank, but we can share information, what I know, and what that person can take from me and put it in a better stage than where he or she found me at a particular moment.
So what advice would you give to those who are looking to collaborate? What are the rules? At least give us about 3 rules that they must follow in order to have good partnerships or good collaborations with others.
If you are a stingy person, don't collaborate.
if you don't like win, if you don't have a win-win mentality.
No, if you are not willing to share, collaboration is not for you. And if you are not willing to lose as well, because if you are not willing to compromise, because sometimes for collaboration is for you to attract when you really need. Like, let's say for instance, I want to develop an app. I'm not a programmer. if I want to collaborate with someone with such skill, if I'm the one who really needs that person more than the person needs me, it means I must give in. I have to be willing to also tell myself that if what the person is going to do for me is going to elevate me to be at a position, so I need to humble myself at that particular moment and also dance to the specific demands. But the demands should be reasonable as well. They should not compromise the idea and the growth. But if it's a demand for money, and if I ask myself, was I going to use the money for the growth of the company, or I was going to eat it? If I was going to eat it, I can compromise that. I can tell myself, no, it's fine. I'll eat more when the application the person is developing for me, you see. So that is the advice that I can give the person.
Go on, please.
That is the advice that I can give for the person who's looking for collaboration, to say you need to be humble at a particular moment, because a person who knows that you need me more than that person needs you, you need to humble yourself and make sure that you get what you need, because that's how brutal the environment of an entrepreneur person is. You need to know, keep focused also. If you're not dedicated and focused, you also need to ask yourself, why is it that you tell yourself you need to be an entrepreneur? For me, I hate taking orders. So me thinking about being programmed or taking orders, it's something that I feel like I have to be the person giving the orders. But if I'm not in a position to give orders, I have to humble myself and listen also, because when you listen, it also gives you the skill that tomorrow when you are giving or issuing orders, it should not be like that military order where you are not expecting people to return back to you. You understand? But it should be orders that motivate those that are within your circumference to do better and to also be innovative. And then the other part of it is you need to tolerate other people's views and ideas. That is the most fundamental thing that makes collaboration to work. When you are collaborating, you should not go like I know it all, because immediately the second person will even tell you what you are saying actually will not work. So if you are not a willing person to listen, why is it that person is saying it will not work? Then automatically it has failed before it even began.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Trust. We've just come to the end of this question and answer time. It's been brilliant. Honestly, it's been much more than I actually expected. And I suppose we were able to maximize the time as well, even though we didn't have Belinda here. Any last words for entrepreneurs that are already in the business or aspiring ones? Any last word? What would you say?
I would say that the entrepreneurship route is the way to go. I can safely say that my recent trip to Switzerland, it opened my eyes. I don't want to lie to you, because when we went to their innovation hubs, and also to know that you are in a country which is the #1 in terms of innovation in the whole world. And when you ask them, what are you guys doing exactly for you to be #1? Blindly, so they said, we are just making funds available for people with creative ideas. We find them. So, simple as that. All you need to do is you have an idea that can change somebody's life,
and then
better somebody's life. So the only way for us to be employable or to be employees is to create the environment for ourselves. And we should not rely on the government to create jobs for us. I know this one does not go well with majority of people, but I'm one person who believes that also the government's duty is not to create jobs, but the government's duty is to create favorable conditions for us as entrepreneurs to thrive in that environment, to be creative, so that jobs will be available for people. That is what I believe. That is the role which the government needs to do. And our role is to tap in that environment.
Tap into that environment.
Yeah.
And so some people will disagree with you and say, look, and I totally get where you're coming from in terms of the role of the government. Some people will say, well, the government should create jobs for those who are not interested in being entrepreneurs, but that's a matter for another day. But what about this funding? Because you said in Switzerland, they said they just make the funds available for those who have creative ideas, who are innovative in their thinking. But for a majority of African businesses, there are no funds. How do they circumvent that challenge? There isn't any.
Well, this is another topic for another day as well.
Absolutely.
Because it needs the political version of me in this one to answer. But I believe actually Africa has more funds than Europe. It's just that the funds are misdirected. There are so many factors that we are doing wrong, or our leaders are doing wrong in terms of priorities. That the available funds are directed to things that are necessarily not going to impact our lives in a positive way.
So
it's
what
not
does
corruption,
do then?
all those kind of things. Yeah.
So what does do? So we're going to bring you back for this conversation. What should an entrepreneur do then in the face of this reality that we all have, being people of African descent located in our on the continent? This is a conversation that people like to ask, and they want to throw questions at you like, so what is the tip? But we're going to leave it there this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant. Please follow us on Facebook, Hergenuity Africa. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and of course, link up with us on LinkedIn, Hergenuity Africa. And definitely, I'll be in touch with you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I introduced it. I even brought a cup of coffee for myself, but you see, I talked a lot and forgot to drink.
Typical. Typical. When entrepreneurs, when they get so focused on something, they. Thank you so much. I'm going to just. I'm pausing.
No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's just been wonderful, actually, being with you. I must say, I'm going to ask you to hold on a sec for me so that I can go off the live stream and stop the live stream.